I'm the kept canary of a rich kid. I was just living easy when suddenly one day I found out I was pregnant. To keep this unexpected little one, I grabbed a stash of cash and bolted in the dead of night. When the big guy found me, I was about to go broke while browsing a dating site looking for a stepdad for my kid. He cracked a smile in disbelief. He looked at the little guy I'd been spoiling and asked, besides me, who else could afford to raise him? So, I'm the canary Felix keeps. I'm soft, which is probably why Felix, who's said to be uninterested in women, keeps me at his country estate. I've got no family tying me down. Felix, a young master of wealth, picked me out of an orphanage and funded my college education. I thought I'd have a bright future, but right after I graduated, Felix brought me back to his estate. All right. With all those designer clothes and gourmet cuisines from all over, I realized, yeah, this future ain't half bad. Just when I decided to chill and live off Felix's generosity, a voice suddenly popped into my head. The voice said I was just the supporting character in a romance novel. It's okay being a canary. It's not okay being the sidekick. What are you thinking about? Noticing I was out of it, Felix paused what he was doing. About the sidekick thing. But I can't say that to him, he'd probably think I've lost it. I blinked, giving him my best doe-eyed look. I'm not feeling great. Felix cares about this kind of experience, so when he heard me, he rolled over and lay down beside me. I'll have Lucas check you out tomorrow, he said, voice a little hoarse, not exactly soft. Lucas is his personal doctor. I've been around him long enough that sometimes I forget my place. Yeah, I'm after his money, but he's nice to look at and treats me well, so I can't help but get a little smitten sometimes. I obediently replied, okay. He likes me like this, sweet and obedient like a little bunny. When he reached an arm out, I lifted my head slightly so he could easily pull me into his embrace. Felix. Looking at his chiseled chest, I asked, what LL happened to me if you fall for someone? That voice in my head told me Felix is the male lead in this novel. In a year, he'd meet his destined female lead. By then, I'd just be a blemish on his romantic journey, and things wouldn't end well for me. You crossed a line. His voice was back to its usual cold and indifferent self. Wasn't surprised at all with that reply. I rolled my eyes silently and prepared to sleep. The room got so quiet we could only hear our breathing, intertwined. No idea how long passed before he suddenly spoke. I'm not interested in other women. Don't believe what a guy says. Felix claims he's not into women but shows up at my place 4 or 5 times a week. Same logic applies, saying he's not into other women is just crap. He just hasn't met that destined female lead yet, just like he hadn't met me before. As a true opportunist, I figured it's best to plan for my future. When I sold off half the bags Felix gave me, he finally found out. Just as I packed up a rare crocodile skin bag to send out, I didn't get the delivery guy at the door, but his low-key black May showed up instead. So, no shipping that day. He sat on the black leather sofa, raising an eyebrow at the bags on the coffee table. What's the plan here? Standing by the table, I glanced at the bags and then at him. My brain cells worked overdrive. Finally, I softly said, I plan to sell it. Don't like it? He asked. I quickly shook my head. Which woman wouldn't like a limited edition bag worth millions? I blinked, and my eyes watered, my voice soft. I visited the orphanage director the other day. She said there's a new batch of kids. That's the truth. I don't work, so I thought of selling this to donate to the orphanage. That's a lie. Felix had his hands interlocked on his knee and leaned forward to look at me, his gaze piercing. I put on a better show, a few tears escaping. Please, don't be mad. Felix hated seeing me cry. If I cried, he'd get impatient. Sure enough, before my tears could really start flowing, he stood up from the couch. I'll have someone handle the orphanage thing tomorrow, he said. He loosened his tie and came over to me. You can't sell what I give you. I sniffed and nodded obediently. Damn it. Now, how do I get cash? I'll put 2 million into your account every month from now on." In disbelief, I looked up at him. He frowned slightly. "Not enough?" I shook my head furiously. "You might as well be my dad." Time flew by. 6 months had passed, and my account almost had 30 million. With that money, even without Felix, as long as I didn't spend wildly, I'd be set for life with a proper job. Planning my future, I applied makeup in front of the mirror. The reflection showed a stunning, delicate face. I thought I'd keep this face by Felix's side forever. I heard Felix's leading lady, Lily, the eldest daughter of the Lilies, was returning soon from studying abroad. I once heard the maids mention Lily. She is the daughter from the first marriage, and after her father remarried, she was constantly mistreated and marginalized in the family. But she excelled in everything, getting a spot in a top American college while still in high school. She's the leading lady in a story, unlike me. "Miss, sir is back." A maid nudged my door. Time for me to go greet him. Got it. I dusted on some blush for that just right allure and got up from my chair with a smile. Being the main character isn't for me. I guess I'll keep being Felix's canary. Felix was in a bad mood today, and he took it all out on me. This canary role isn't meant for everyone. I looked at Felix with tears in my eyes, ignoring the red marks on my skin. "Is something bothering you?" He was just going through the motions. Felix never shared work stuff with me. My concern seemed to soften his attitude a bit. "Does it hurt?" He gently touched the red mark on my collarbone. I bit my lip, my eyes watery. "No, it doesn't." His fingers trailed up, finally resting on my eyelids. He swallowed hard. "You're such a seductress." Then he laughed and placed his hand over my eyes. "These eyes of yours, they can be deadly." His voice always had a slight rasp, and his laughter was utterly captivating. My heart was racing. I couldn't help but lean in and kiss his lips. "I don't want to take your life, I just want you happy." He had chosen me out of so many and put me through college, giving me everything. "I'm pregnant." Counting the days, it must have been that second night when we were so into each other that we forgot protection. Lily would return in 2 months. If Felix knew about this baby, he'd make me get rid of it for Lily's sake. Without the baby, I could live comfortably with the money I had. But I was an orphan. I've never had family since I can remember. Looking at the pregnancy test, I instinctively touched my belly. I resolved to leave. Considering Felix's influence in City A, running off in secret meant I couldn't stay there. After half a month of analysis, I decided to settle in City C, far away from City A. Before leaving, I made Felix a whole meal. I learned to cook back at the orphanage. After being with Felix, he never asked me to cook. "Did you make these?" Felix glanced at the meal on the table, looking different from usual, and then at me. I nodded, sitting beside him. The auntie wasn't feeling well today, so I gave her a couple of days off. I lied with a straight face. Then I placed a piece of fish in his bowl. 2 years, and you've never had my cooking. Try it." He didn't suspect anything, just picked up the fish with his chopsticks. Dinner went just like usual. After eating, he wanted me to come with him to the study room. I didn't go there often, but occasionally he'd want to end the night there too. Thinking it might be the last time, I followed him in. Before I could figure out how to start, he pulled out a band-aid from a first aid kit. Stunned, I watched him carefully cover the cut on my finger. "Don't do stuff like this anymore," he said coolly, not really caring. Looking at the top of his head, I couldn't help but ask, "Felix, do you like kids?" He paused for a moment, then let go of my hand. "I won't have kids." I figured. Why ask? I smiled. Just thought of the auntie's grandson, so I asked. The night passed unusually peacefully. Felix didn't touch me. Watching him lying there, I couldn't sleep. The Felix family banquet was the next day, and he wouldn't be back for a couple of weeks. It was the perfect time to escape. Like every year, I gave the servants a week's leave, left a letter, and slipped away from City A with my stuff at night. At the boarding gate, I looked at Felix's giant billboard at the airport. Goodbye for now, Felix. I had a son. Afraid Felix might find me, I hid in a small town in City C for months. My son was born there. He's just like you, so handsome, said the nurse Zoe beside my bed, holding my son with a beaming smile. The cutest baby I've seen. I leaned over to check him out. The little guy was all wrinkly and not quite cute yet. But now, I had family. Laughing, I started crying, causing Zoe to put down the baby and comfort me. You can't cry. If you don't recover well post-birth, you'll pay for it later. Zoe had been with me since I got admitted. Seeing her flustered, I couldn't help but laugh. She laughed along. Did you pick a name for him? She asked. I nodded. His name's Kevin. My one and only family. Kevin grew fast, becoming more handsome. But Zoe was wrong, he didn't look like me. He looked like Felix, even down to some frowning habits. Zoe and I were on the couch, watching Kevin play with blocks. Feels like you gave birth to a mini CEO, Zoe commented, noting his expressions. I glanced at her, then at Kevin, deeply sighing. He did seem similar. You mentioned good news? I turned to her. She was off today and came over early, promising good news. Finally snapping out of her Kevin daze, she said, Didn't you ask me to find you a job? Did you find one? There were lots of suitable ones, but wait, she winked, I found an especially perfect one for you. I playfully nudged her. Spill it. Kevin was almost 2.5 soon starting daycare. The little bee's kindergarten needs an accountant. My eyes lit up. I was worried about working and taking care of Kevin. This was perfect. Thank you, Zoe. I hugged her tightly. Finally, Kevin and I could live normal lives. Hearing about Felix again, for years after leaving him, was unexpected. Do you know Felix? Zoe asked, holding her phone. His name made my fingers go numb. Never heard of him, I replied. Not surprised, she handed me her phone. Check him out. Super rich, handsome, you name it. On the screen was a picture. Next to Felix stood a woman in an evening gown. The woman was stunning, dressed elegantly, radiating grace and poise, making it impossible to look away. That's Lily. Zoe, noticing me staring, explained. This is their engagement photo, they're the perfect couple. This is what high society should look like. No noble would fall for a Cinderella. I chuckled, Cinderella's dad is a duke, and she's the fairy tale heroine. It makes sense that the prince would fall for her. What's nonsensical is the sisters, knowing their side characters, still wanting to be the lead. Zoe was about to say something more when Kevin rushed into my arms, rubbing his eyes. Mama, I'm sleepy, he murmured, his voice soft. It was only at times like these he didn't remind me of the cold, distant Felix. My heart melted instantly, and I picked him up, let's get you to bed. I hadn't gone far with Kevin in my arms when Zoe spoke up. Doesn't Kevin remind you a bit of Felix? I paused but didn't turn around. Don't talk nonsense. Despite not wanting to admit it, Kevin was becoming more like Felix every day. It wasn't just the looks, even his behavior was similar. He wanted the freshest organic food and the softest, most expensive clothes. Everything he used had to be the best. Even the toys he played with were different. While other kids played with rubber ducks, he preferred Legos. When they played with Legos, he was into models and telescopes. Finally, by the time he was 5, my savings had dwindled to just 7 figures. I couldn't keep up with it all. Zoe, sympathetic, suggested. If you can't do it alone, find a father for Kevin. It's been years since Kevin's dad passed, it's time you found someone. I looked at Kevin reading nearby, a beam of light from the window falling on him, making him look lonely and forlorn. For a split second, I saw Felix. He had the same aura in the study. You didn't want to disturb him. All right, I said. I'll find Kevin a dad. Zoe wasted no time. That same day, she had my profile up on a dating site. Maybe Felix had influenced my taste too much because after a month of dating, I hadn't found anyone. Just when I was about to give up, Zoe assured me the next 2 guys wouldn't disappoint. Be honest, are you taking a cut from this? I asked, seeing her eager expression. She grinned, no way, it's all for your happiness. After half an hour of persuasion, I decided to meet the last 2 the next day. After picking Kevin up from school, we went to the coffee shop as planned. Sorry for being late, had some issues with the last surgery. A man approached our table. His name was Ethan, a doctor. Handsome, warm, polite, the opposite of Felix. While Ethan and I got to know each other, Kevin tugged at my sleeve, gently asking, "Mom, can I go play?" I followed his gaze to the toy store across the street. "Sure," I said, patting his head, "see anything you like, let me know, and I'll buy it. Don't let Auntie pay, okay?" Kevin was always considerate. Watching Kevin leave, Ethan chuckled. "Do you like Kevin?" I asked. He nodded, ears slightly pink. It's sudden to say, but I like both Nina and Kevin. His honesty caught me off guard, leaving me unsure how to respond. But I knew he wasn't lying. Nina. As we wrapped up our conversation, Ethan suddenly looked at me, and it with other men. Meeting other men. His eyes were sincere, reminding me of a puppy I had secretly taken care of at the orphanage. I held my coffee, not responding. Just then, the bell above the door rang. This gentleman's suggestion doesn't seem fair to me. The voice was soft, yet it made me freeze. Felix's steps felt like they were weighing on my heart, the sound of my heartbeat deafening. He approached the table, his eyes fleetingly landing on me before settling on Ethan. I got held up at work, sorry for the delay. You must have wrapped things up. Though spoken softly, his words carried weight. I glanced at Ethan, who met Felix's gaze with a smile. If Nina's willing, that would mean we're not done here. Felix then turned his eyes on me. Are you willing, Nina? He rarely called me by my name, and for a while, I thought he'd forgotten it. I looked at Ethan and sighed, Dar. Ethan, let's exchange contacts, meet up when we're free. A small-time doctor against Felix wouldn't end well. Our issues shouldn't drag him down. Ethan cheerfully agreed and showed me his QR code. Don't scan that. Felix grabbed my hand. This time, he wasn't gentle. Holding my hand tightly, he looked into my eyes. Don't scan. Beep. Scan complete. I blinked at him. Ethan, having received the friend request, stood by Felix. Let's compete fairly. Once Ethan left, Felix sat across from me. I avoided his gaze and sipped my coffee. Come back with me. After a long pause, Felix spoke. I met his gaze. It was dark outside, a warm halo from the light above made him look unusually gentle. Go where? I asked him. Go back to where you came from. Felix. I took a deep breath. You got married. I was kind of a kept woman for a while, but I had morals. I won't be the other woman. Felix didn't expect me to say that. He raised an eyebrow slightly. So what? How does my being married have anything to do with you coming back with me? Seriously? How shameless can you be? I never thought you were like this. I got up, pissed. As I turned to leave, he grabbed me, seemed pretty mad. Nina, do you even care about what kind of person I am? Never really saw him mad before. It was kinda scary. But I was mad too. I jerked my hand away. I don't care. He paused. Yeah, makes sense. I used to act all innocent like a little rabbit in front of him. He probably never guessed I'd fight with him. Felix. I tried to calm down. We had a thing before, but like you said, it was mutual. Now I don't want to. And Lily isn't me, you don't have a right to treat her like that. After that day, Felix didn't come looking for me again. I thought I'd told him off and he'd quit trying to get me back, but then something big happened in town. A tourism development area? I took the brochure Zoe handed over. Right there on the cover, the Felixes. Zoe leaned in. Yeah, heard the Felixes are taking over. They're investing a lot of money in our town to make an ecotourism spot. She looked at me again. Speaking of which, wasn't Felix the guy you had the setup with last time with Dr. Ethan? It was too dark that day, couldn't see clearly. I looked at her with a hint of annoyance. Weren't you the one who set it up? It was a platform thing, said he'd be better than Dr. Ethan, so I agreed. Then Zoe widened her eyes. No way, it really was Felix. I pressed my lips together, didn't say anything. Ever since Zoe found out Felix showed up that day, she's been worried I'd fall and end up as his side chick. The next day, she set me up with Ethan. Ethan and I met at the town's only park. I just held Kevin's hand while he took care of everything else. Zoe was right. He was a really good guy. But when we sat at the play area, he went to buy water and never came back. No idea how long I waited. Then Felix showed up. Holding a black umbrella, he asked, "This the guy you picked?" I looked up at him. The sunlight was blinding, I couldn't make out his face before I fainted. Half conscious, I heard Felix asking Kevin, "What's your name?" Kevin sounded cold. "None of your business." Way to go. That's my son all right. Then I just let myself drift off. When I woke up, I was in a big soft bed. "Mom?" Kevin perked up when he saw me awake, his eyes lighting up. Felix sat next to him, also looking at me. Pretty gutsy, being malnourished at your age. I didn't even bother answering him. I struggled to sit up, wanting nothing to do with him. Before I got up, he pushed me back down. "Nina, how long are we gonna keep doing this?" Then Kevin bit his wrist. He yelped and let go of me. Kevin climbed onto the bed, shielding me. "Don't touch my mom." I looked at Kevin's small back, tears welling up. Having him was the best decision I ever made. "Think I can't do anything about you?" Felix grabbed the kicking Kevin with one hand, and gripped my chin with the other. "I've been looking for you for 6 years. His voice was low, his pale ears slightly red with anger. "But you say you're not willing. You never told me about him." When he took us home, Felix glanced at the asleep Kevin in my arms. I instinctively held Kevin tighter. "He's got nothing to do with you." We both knew that was a total lie. Kevin looked just like him. He looked at me, didn't say another word. When we stopped outside my building, I got out. He finally asked, "What's his name?" "He doesn't want to tell you." I carried Kevin without looking back. Before I even got to my door, Ethan was there waiting. Ethan, sitting by my door, stood when he heard footsteps. "Nina." He stood, a bit uneasy. "I'm so sorry, a critical patient came into the ER. I tried calling you, but you didn't pick up." Obviously, Felix had shut off my phone. "Been waiting long?" I was surprised. Ethan smiled awkwardly. "It got really late, I couldn't reach you, and I got worried. Now you're back, I can relax." Didn't wait for an invite for a drink, he just left. Quite the gentleman. I peeked out. Felix's car hadn't left, ran right into Ethan. For a moment, I felt a pang of guilt. I shook off that ridiculous thought and carried Kevin inside. As soon as I laid Kevin on the bed, Felix called. "Why is he calling?" Before I could speak, his voice came over the line. "None of your business. Tell him not to come again." I found it pretty funny. "Felix." I gently tucked Kevin in. "He didn't marry me, I didn't marry him, why can't he come?" "But you." But Felix cut me off. "You gonna let my son call someone else dad? Don't you dare." His voice was low. Felix, claiming he needed to oversee the town development, moved in. Zoe thought he was there for me. I wasn't so self-absorbed. Felix took his work seriously. Even though he rarely talks about his job with me or about the Felixes, I know he's put in a lot of effort to become their leader. There's no way he'd make the wrong choice at work just for a woman. Seeing you so clear-minded puts me at ease. After hearing my analysis, Zoe looked relieved. But I wasn't. Maybe it's because of Felix's arrival that my role as a supporting character felt reawakened. Things that were going smoothly began to take unexpected turns. Even Kevin, who hardly ever gets sick, suddenly came down with a high fever. In the original storyline, Kevin isn't supposed to exist in this world. It wasn't long before I was rushing to the hospital with him in my arms. "Ethan, please," I cried, grabbing onto him, "you have to save him." I must have startled him. He glanced at Kevin on the bed, then reassured me, "It's just a fever from a cold, nothing serious." By the time Felix arrived, Kevin's fever had already subsided. I looked up at him. His brows furrowed slightly. "Why are you crying again?" "Felix," I couldn't hold back anymore, and started sobbing uncontrollably. "I'm so scared. Scared that this is all just a dream. Scared that when I wake up, Kevin won't even exist. That no one loves me." Felix gently wrapped his arms around me, his voice soothing. "Don't be afraid, I'm here. You'll be okay, and so will he." He didn't really know. I cried in his arms for a long time. Then I looked up at him. "Felix, let me go. Only by staying far away from him can I find peace of mind." He didn't seem to expect that I would say this, and just looked at me, silent for a long time. My eyes stung. "Don't look for me." He gently raised his hand, his cool fingertips brushing away my tears. Finally, his Adam's apple bobbed slightly. "Okay. Felix is different from me. He never lies. At least, he's never lied to me. If he says he'll let me go, he'll keep that promise and won't come looking for me." For Kevin's sake, I bought a plane ticket to leave Sea City a week later. During this week, I'll say goodbye to everyone in the small town who has helped me. Zoe was the one most unwilling to see me go. After a night of drinking, she clung to me, crying for a long time. "When you first arrived, you looked like a little rabbit ready to be bullied at any moment." She pulled at my cheek, telling me through her tears. Back then, I thought, this little rabbit can't be bullied under my watch. I cried too, "You bullied me the most." She laughed again. "Dr. Ethan has liked you for a long time." Her head drooped. "He's the one who suggested the blind date. It took him a whole month to muster the courage to meet you." I didn't know that. Seeing her like that, I naturally understood everything. Dr. Ethan isn't my type. I hugged her with a smile. "Zoe, if you like someone, you should say it out loud." She clearly missed the point in my last sentence, her eyes wide. "So you do like Felix?" Maybe it was the alcohol. Suddenly, I recalled the first time I met Felix. I was just 18 then. He stood in front of me and asked, "Would you like to go to college?" Like a deity shining light into my dull life. "I don't like him." I shook my head, telling Zoe more loudly, "I don't like Felix." She hastily covered my mouth. Okay, I know." A night of being hungover left us with splitting headaches the next day. But then came another headache-inducing news. Lily showed up. Zoe checked her phone and then looked at me. "You don't think she's here for you, do you?" I could hear the tremor in her voice. "Probably not," I stammered. After all, Felix and I didn't do anything. Clear conscience here. I stayed home for 2 days and realized Lily wasn't here for me after all. The development in this small town also involved the Lilies. Just as I started to feel relieved, Felix called me. "Can we meet?" I was staring at Lily's interview on the news. "Felix, let's pretend we never met. Take care of Lily." Then I hung up. Something felt off then. This is a CEO romance novel. It couldn't be the cat and mouse part where the CEO's trying to win someone back, could it? And maybe I was just a part of their play. Otherwise, Felix wouldn't have looked for me for 6 years, right? The more I thought about it, the more it made sense. Guess the life of a supporting character isn't valued. Damn author. On the day before I was supposed to leave, Zoe took me out for a final meal. It was late when we finished. As I walked home with Kevin, I didn't expect 2 men to block our path in an alleyway. Don't move. One of them held a small knife to my neck. The other grabbed Kevin, covering his mouth. I was terrified they'd hurt Kevin, so I quickly said, "How much money do you want?" "I'll give it to you, just don't hurt him." The 2 men exchanged a glance and laughed. "We've heard you're rich, didn't expect you'd be so straightforward." I nodded, desperate. "Don't touch my son. Money's not a problem." "5 million, said one of the men. Okay, I'll transfer it." I took out my phone obediently and stopped at the transaction screen. I can only access 1 million at a time. The men exchanged another glance. "Transfer the million first." After doing so, I showed them the phone screen. "Done, now let my son go." "I won't report you." But they didn't budge. One of the men eyed me up and down. "Have some fun with us, and your son will be free." "You don't act all high and mighty. Everyone knows how a woman with a kid gets that much money. Who you gonna play with doesn't matter." The man holding Kevin applied more pressure. "If you don't agree, your kid's got no chance." Kevin's face was turning red. It broke my heart. "Your kid doesn't have a future if you don't comply," the other man said, touching my face. I was trembling all over. Ultimately, I closed my eyes. "Fine." But just as I uttered the word, I heard Felix's voice behind me. "Nina." He must have been super pissed, 'cause he was gritting his teeth saying my name. "But you, on the other hand, seemed pretty chill." I opened my eyes and turned to look at him. It was just him. He walked over, step by step, like a thunderous god, and said, "If you don't want to die, let them go." I knew Felix never dives in unprepared. He'd already called the cops before coming. But they got there a bit too late. Felix had just managed to catch Kevin, who was thrown by another guy, and got stabbed by the second dude. Sirens blared as the 2 injured men scrambled away. I crawled desperately over to Felix, only to find his back drenched with blood. Blood covered my hands, and I cried out, "Somebody. Please, someone." He always said he didn't like kids. Well, I guess he wasn't above a little fibbing. He sighed deeply, covering Kevin's eyes with one hand while gently wiping my tears with the other. "Don't cry. I'm fine." He wasn't fooling anyone. Ethan said the wound nearly hit his heart. It was touch and go for a bit. In the hospital corridor, I finally met Lily. She was even prettier than on TV. "So, you're Nina?" She stopped in front of me, asking. I looked up at her. She smiled slightly and sat down beside me. Felix wasn't wrong. "Your eyes are indeed beautiful." I was kind of surprised. "Felix told you about me?" Who talks about their ex to their wife anyway? Though I guess I wasn't really an ex. Lily raised an eyebrow. "Not much, he doesn't chat with people a lot. Except when he mentions you, he's different." She chuckled. "These years, he's searched high and low for you. Never saw him put so much seriousness into anything other than work. I used to hear he didn't like women, turns out, it was just everyone but you." Lily spoke like it was some amusing tale, getting more intriguing as she went on. "Lately, he's been saying he wants to develop this tourist spot out here, but this town isn't anything special. Turns out, it's because you're here." She tilted her head at me. I was at a loss. "Sorry." Though she didn't sound accusatory, I felt guilty. She seemed surprised by my apology. Sorry for what? For what, though? I didn't know. Like I took something that wasn't mine. "Aren't you two married?" I asked. She paused then laughed. "Who told you that?" "Felix did." He didn't say anything, I murmured. 2 years back, they got engaged. Engagement should lead to marriage, right? I'm not marrying him. He's so cold, like a block of ice. She grinned, tickling my chin with her finger. Only a warm softy like you could thaw him out. I froze. This was not how I'd pictured the storyline. We haven't called it off yet, but once I get the remaining 10% of the Lily's shares, we're done, she continued. A career woman, huh? No rush, I laughed awkwardly, a bit overwhelmed by the plot twist. By the way, they caught those 2 guys. The cops said the 100 grand will be returned to you. Lastly, she shared the good news with a smile. Kevin's attitude towards Felix flipped completely. Seeing him dot on Felix with drinks and fruit, my heart ached like a worried mom. Felix didn't mind at all. He accepted everything Kevin handed him. When Kevin was about to give him another apple, I intervened. You trying to stuff him or what? I glared at Felix, trying to stuff yourself, huh? They exchanged a knowing glance, a silent lip twitch that was so alike. Isn't your flight today? Felix watched as I moved the apple aside, finally speaking up. You could hear the smugness in his voice. I let it slide for now, seeing as he was bedridden. I scooted a chair near him, dodging the question and asking instead, why didn't you tell me you weren't married to Lily? He raised an eyebrow. Do you care? Before I could reply, he added, your letter said you only see me as a boss. Should a boss's marital status matter to an employee? I'd forgotten I said that. At the time, to leave with a clear conscience, I claimed I was in it for his money. I scrunched my nose, committing to travel here for just an employee, pretty responsible of you. I used to think you were an obedient little bunny. He gave me a soft, playful look, didn't expect you to hide claws. All for the money, I bared my teeth. Finding out now isn't too late. Been new, he chuckled, no cheeky bunny spikes every dish with chili. I was taken aback, oh, so you knew. I guess I'll need a new way to vent next time. Why aren't you going in? I heard Zoe saying from the doorway. Turning, I saw Ethan there, smiling awkwardly as he approached, just checking on Felix. Thanks, I said, standing to give him space. Zoe took the chance to pull me out. Knowing what she'd say, I quickly shared Felix and Lily's situation. She nodded. That matches how I see Lily, she noted. Then she glanced at me with mock seriousness, patting my shoulder, and you match this image I have. What image? I wondered. The domineering CEO's sweet little wife. I don't know why, but that's what I first thought seeing you. GZ, didn't sound like a compliment. I ended up going back to City A with Felix. So, from a kindergarten accountant, I moved to being the Felix's accountant. Zoe said I leveled up. Hard to argue. Leveling up sure beats being a little wife. Felix and I are still living in the mansion out in the suburbs. The place hasn't changed a bit, even the room arrangements are the same. In a couple of days, it's time for the Felix family dinner. I've been away for 6 years. This time, Felix brought me back to the Felix old house. Everyone was surprised to see me and Kevin. Clearly, Felix never mentioned me to them. There had been rumors about Felix having a child outside, and it turns out they were true. After dinner, a group of women gathered in the garden. They were talking in a snarky tone, definitely about Kevin. Kevin walked right over to them, asking, who's the illegitimate child? Sometimes he talks just like Felix. The women were taken aback for a moment. Kevin had his hands behind his back, acting all mature. Dad says all the adults here are bad, and it turns out he's right. I didn't expect him to say that. I couldn't help but laugh. No manners, barked one woman, face turning red. She glanced at me. Well, some people have a mom, but no mom to teach them. Oh great, now they're insulting us directly. I rolled up my sleeves, ready to confront them. But Felix wrapped his arm around my waist and pulled me back. Auntie, who exactly are you talking about? Felix's voice was cold, loud enough for everyone in the garden to hear. All eyes turned to us. The woman chuckled awkwardly, not daring to say more. At that moment, Kevin trotted back, innocently pointing at the woman, and told Felix, "Dad, she said I'm an illegitimate child with no manners." The place fell quiet. "Felix, kids say the craziest things. You know I wouldn't say that," the woman quickly explained. I blinked, my eyes welling up. Teary, I looked at Felix. "So Auntie thinks I'm easy to bully, and only says these things to me." Felix raised an eyebrow and pinched me softly at the waist. "If Auntie has such strong opinions about my wife, maybe I need to reconsider the talks with Uncle." "Wife?" I looked up at him. But he just held me and walked out of the old house without looking back. Felix was quite pleased with how Kevin handled himself back there. So he let him pick out whatever gift he wanted. Watching the prices of those fancy toys, I gulped. Kevin finally stopped in front of the most expensive telescope. Felix raised an eyebrow, seeming satisfied. He smiled at me and said, "Who else but me could afford to raise him?" I quickly shook my head. "No kidding, who indeed?" I married Felix. On our wedding day, I drank a lot. Zoe and I ended up drunk on the couch together. She grinned at me, "Congrats, you gorgeous girl." I grinned back at her, "Thanks, Zoe." When Felix came to carry me to the bedroom, Zoe and I were hugging and crying because we felt we met too late in life. "Stop crying," Felix said, laying me gently on the bed and kissing the corner of my eye. I opened my eyes and looked at him. So handsome. Just like the first time I saw him. I wrapped my arms around his neck and pulled him down, giving him a peck on the lips. "Felix, you know," I whispered in his ear. "These times, they're borrowed." I put a finger to my lips, "Don't let the heavens hear that." Felix chuckled, seeming to laugh more these days. I like that about him. His smile suits him much better than his icy demeanor. So, I kissed him again. "What am I going to do with you?" His voice was soft, like a feather brushing my heart. Then he started kissing me, from my forehead downward. Even when I surrendered, he didn't stop. It felt like being lost in clouds. I don't know how long it lasted. Finally, I heard him ask softly, "Why'd you leave back then?" "I got pregnant, but you said you didn't like kids." "I don't like kids, except ours," he murmured tenderly. I snuggled against him. "I dreamt." I mumbled, "We were all in a book. You were the male lead, Lily the female lead, and I was just a side character bound to disappear. Felix, I never really had a home. Life isn't fair." My words turned muddled, filled with grievance. Felix hushed me with a kiss. "Nina, you have a home now." Our breaths mingled, bringing a peace like never before. Just as I was drifting to sleep, Felix kissed the top of my head. "Nina, remember, I like you, you're the lead. Not because you're the lead do I like you." Felix's epilogue. The year Grandpa found me in the orphanage, I was just 6. He took my hand and asked, "What's your name?" I glared, "None of your business." He didn't get mad, he just laughed. "I'm your grandpa. Want to come home with me?" Home. I thought I didn't have one. The director said I was left at the orphanage gate right after birth. I imagined countless reasons why. Maybe I was stolen. Maybe my family was too poor. Never did I think it was because Mom had me to spite Dad after they broke up, then ditched me here for revenge. Grandpa only found out about me after they both passed away. So, the Felix family called me a bastard. Only Grandpa treated me well, gave me a name, supported all my choices. "Felix, you're a good kid. The Felixes depend on you now," Grandpa said as he lay dying. I was only 18 then. Grandpa willed 40% of his shares to me, making me a thorn in my uncle's and aunt's sides. They were like parasites, wanting to devour me whole. To gain control of the company sooner, I spent 6 years finishing my master's and doctorate in finance. At 24, armed with significant shares, I took the helm. That was also the year I met Nina. She wasn't like me, she had a name and history. A pair of eyes, clean and pure, looking up at me with barely any desire. She really doesn't seem like a kid from an orphanage. Do you want to go to college? I asked her. The Felixes were sponsoring a group of kids, but I still asked her separately. Her eyes lit up, almost as if she didn't expect to be chosen. She studied really hard, kind of like I did back in the day. But my work keeps me busy, and I rarely paid much attention to her. The next time I saw her was at a celebration party. Her hair was tied up in a high ponytail, and she wore a crisp white t-shirt, completely out of place at the party. Felix, this is Nina, a college student sponsored by the Felixes. She's a senior now, and will soon be working with us, someone explained as they noticed me looking at her. I nodded. Why would they bring a college student to a party like this? Nina might not know why, but I do. Watching her pour drink after drink for me made me feel uneasy. It was like watching a white paper about to get stained. Sure enough, at the end when everyone was leaving, 2 old men surrounded her. I was about to leave myself when I sighed and walked over. Nina, right? I beckoned her with my finger. Her face turned pale, and she quickly ran over to me. Can you drive? Take me home. She lied. She couldn't drive. Eventually, she was apologizing while crying beside me, accompanying me in a cab. Her eyes were red and watery, and it was almost unbearable. I've long lost count of how many times we've met since. On one drunken night, I underestimated my own wicked thoughts. Once they started, it was hard to stop. So I took her in. In this circle, everyone has a canary. Having one myself wasn't considered anything extraordinary. But one day this canary flew away. It was a rainy day. I had just dealt with a bunch of snakes at the old place, thinking I'd visit Nina. But she was gone, leaving only a letter behind. It said she just wanted to repay my kindness, saw me as a boss who paid her, and wished me well. That was just perfect. In anger, I smashed everything in my study, except for the inkstone she gave me. She wasn't just a canary anymore, I just hadn't realized. I didn't notice that I was falling for her, again and again. I didn't realize I couldn't do without her. I searched for her for a full 6 years. During those years, I formed an alliance with Ethan, suppressing those snakes. No one would dare oppose me marrying her now. Finally, I got news of her. A matchmaking thing. That's just great. She was living carefree, it seems. But turns out, she wasn't just finding someone for herself but also a stepdad for my son. My son. I hadn't expected to have a son. The kid looked exactly like me when I was young, making me want to reach out and touch him. He snapped at me, "Stay away from me and my mom." Just like me, really. In business, I'm known for being ruthless, people say I'm heartless. I had all sorts of ways to keep Nina and Kevin with me. But when Nina cried, asking me to let her go, my hand on her back clenched into a fist. Since when did I realize that loving someone doesn't mean trapping them in your world? Lucky that I got a new perspective. Otherwise, I might have let them go. Heaven balanced it after all, not giving me parents but giving me Nina and Kevin. But it didn't last long. Kevin. I gritted my teeth, looking at the kid who showed up in my bed. Instead of getting out when he heard my voice, he snuggled closer to Nina, looking extremely pitiful. "Mom, Dad is being mean to me. He's mastered his mom's tricks all too well." Nina patted his back, laughingly scolding me, "He's just a kid. 6 years old, not a kid anymore." I walked over and picked him up from the bed. "Tonight's my turn with Mom." I kicked him out and closed the door. Just as Kevin started crying, Nina got down from the bed, opened the door, and let Kevin back in. I've been burnt out dealing with Felix's auditing these days. "Don't mess with me, you two," she warned like a feisty little kitten. Both Kevin and I obediently got into bed. "Felix, do you want to change Kevin's name?" she suddenly asked when I was nearly asleep. I quietly moved Kevin aside and hugged her. No, I replied. Kevin. I closed my eyes and grinned. Kevin. Whether it's her or him, they're the only ones.